Good point.
All right. What was that?
Not the whole one.
Get an ancillary.
Like not like Angie's List, but for jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a NYCIST website. I mean, it's
Yeah.
yeah.
This is like a monopoly. Okay, I'll show you that there for Baltic plus something like that.
Immunity.
And the state had jump anyway.
We talking NYCIST Survivor or NYCIST? I mean, that's a different whole thing there. Around the most.
You kind of said for Iowa, so it's file all that. Where did the pie come from? Fairway.
Hi. Good guy.
Guys, I was worried about it coming out too easy by
Okay.
in front of this group. Well, I saw it at meet when David held it. It really worked that well, so.
Yeah.
I did not try
That
to
was
do
good. That was raspberry pie. Pie day. A little more obvious.
See, you get the whole table.
Yep.
Perfect.
Did you eat the pie?
There you go.
Oh, well, maybe I'll amplify your link.
I did get my.
Yeah, that was a big seller.
I bought two. Well, the original ones, they were so hard to get.
It's really hard to read the circle.
Oh, that's
Retro.
more like an ellipse.
Yeah, we set that up with the kids a couple years ago.
Yeah, what?
Oh, it's,
I guess we could sit.
Like 6 months later.
All right, you guys want to hang out? It's fine.
Well, now, there, look, let's stream the circle.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You guys want to meeting?
Funny thing.
Pardon?
John, just like stream live, streaming.
Streaming, we watched by like 14.
Welcome.
Oh. Yeah, whatever. I'm like, well, it's 4:30. That's like what I said. Eating, drink,
We're done networking. Everybody's done. No more networking.
You can never call you want to. Yeah.
I sometimes get seeing we need fancier outfits.
You turned it off.
I did it so that people could watch our networking.
I don't even know how good it's going to be.
It's gonna be amazing. Where did you share this link? Via email?
I shared it with the nicest man.
Should be some resolution on
What?
Oh, yeah. Which I want to say. Oh, like he's talking about the goal. I feel like we should. I think that should be an annual survey.
Put it on the requested access to the Google.
Oh, it's like, yeah, I'll sit over here.
That
I can't see what's above my head, so.
We gotta get Raul on it, but that would work.
You know, yeah, that's another goal. Get Raul to come to one meeting.
What the next one?
Karen, did you go to the actual YouTube challenge yesterday?
I wanted to, and I did not. Adam Gerson, Solid Khan, Sean Goni Clark. Do I see that correctly?
Sean Goni Clark.
I did. And possibly a fourth person of the organizers. I was helping with that.
I thought Raul was going yesterday.
I don't recall. I meant to go, and then I was like, oh, it's in Riverdale. Originally, it's going to be in Midtown, which is gross, but it's easier to get to. The Agile Youth Challenge, it was their second half time.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, I would have gone to Midtown, but it was in
Yeah.
Riverdale.
I don't live in Riverdale, that's far.
It's not that far, but I just didn't feel like anything. Anyway, they're really cool things, and there are a lot of nice tweets and photos from the day. That's cool that we have people in our community that host events like that.
So, I'm gonna get started. So, welcome to the March 2016 meeting of the NYCIST group. My name is Colin. I apologize for being late. Long Island, it's not my fault. I didn't create the damn thing, so that's why I'm here. But if anyone wants, I usually just go around very quickly. You know, familiar faces, lots of faces I don't know very well. Does anyone can just give a quick introduction of themselves and what school they're with, and say something funny about yourself. Starting here.
I'm new. My name is Paul. This is my first meeting here.
Welcome.
I like technology. I work at the Cook Center School or Institute. It's got several names. It has a high school, it's got a grammar school, and it's got a skills. It focuses for kids with special needs.
Scott Adamson from Friends Seminary.
No, you can talk about, you know what, just say vendor you can't stand.
Vendor. Oh, it is, what did I say? The combo of Verizon Broadview really had some challenges with them the last 2 weeks. It's been a lot of. I'll be back in 3 days. That's my fun.
Both feel it.
Liam Webster, I'm from St. Hilda's and St. Hughes. I hate time warner cable. That's my own self.
You know, I think if you're American, you're not allowed to like time.
Well, from Canada.
Oh.
International.
It's cross-border.
Now I'm really gonna move to your country.
Jennifer Davenport. Sorry.
Well, that was for me.
All right, let's go, Kyle.
I'm Kyle, from International School of Brooklyn, and I hate Canada.
I'll check for that.
I didn't want to go to cable or black.
Too easy, right?
Got PPI or anything?
I'm Bernie from American Government School in Brooklyn, and I'll go both hands on senior systems. I was just ragging on them earlier, and I have never got over them.
Sorry, good. That's rough.
John Nyers, the Dalton School. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I'll tell you 2 vendors that I love. They're
John's full of.
well, I mean, you need another.
No, it's fair, it's fair.
IT Simplified, it's a new vendor that I come across. They kind of do everything. Sales rep I've known for 20-some years from the various places we've been. I plugged in, they're just installing our network head. They're replacing Prominent for us. And then our cable guy does all the wiring for us, Cable Pro Solutions. I've been using him for 10 years. I've never found anyone I love working more with. So if you're looking for somebody to do cabling for you, fiber, we installed all their fiber.
The cable, his school.
You've always pushed that boundary.
Nice.
Wolf.
I'm Brandon Wolf. I'm the currently the director of tech at Brooklyn Heights Montessori. I'm moving out of ed tech after this year. So if anybody's interested in a position like that, I'll be posting in NYCIST. I hate Verizon. Yeah, there you go.
I never saw that. I hate all of them, so I'm leaving it.
Yeah, there you go. No.
You were just paraphrasing. Hey everyone, nice to see you. I'm Karen Blumberg, and I'm officially on spring break and have not yet gone on any trips or planned anything. I have to write a master's thesis this week. I have to start and finish a master's thesis this week. So I'm procrastinating by coming to a next meeting. I don't have to deal with vendors, which is awesome. Sometimes I interact with them at the expo halls of places, like at conferences, and I like getting 3 days. We were gonna have a tech said they bring a pinata to this meeting, which was pretty fun.
No, I didn't allow them to.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing we'll talk about.
But initially they were coming with a pinata, which I thought would have been fun.
All right, I'm Jeff Miller. I work here at Churchill. I'm a tech specialist. I also hate him. I'm sure Steve can vouch for that. They're here probably, I don't know, 4 times a week. Yeah, like all the time. All the time.
Canon Direct or Canon, you guys use Canon Direct or do you have like a reseller?
We have
actually
We have Canon through directly, and it's partly our rep who talks for an hour on the phone, and then like, sure, I'll get you that information, and then mails it to you.
Oh.
And then I'm like, I never got that. And she's like, well, it should have been there a couple of days ago. And she's like, did you check your mailbox? And I was like, well, what?
See, like our service reps, like our machines break, they're here like that.
They are.
But they break about twice
Well,
a day.
but don't forget the part that they three different parts.
Yeah, that's right.
And then that can be sometimes two different.
But here's hoping that Casper works out for us this summer, guys. And that's good for us.
All right, I'll continue to run the church with you. I'm Tim McKim, the tech director here. I'm actually going to go personal because I'm time orders that's going on like crazy. I try to get pricing for them and then call me twice a day. So stepping aside from the professional world. So I went to 5.
I'm Alex Steinberg. I also work here at Churchill, tech integration. I don't really deal with vendors either, but that free umbrella I got at Neat is already starting to fall apart. I'm not really happy with the offering.
David called me a ton too, SOS. One day I'll answer that phone call. Just tell me.
I'm Liz Johnson. I'm at the Professional Children's School. And I must say, I'm not a fan of CDW.
That's interesting.
I can feel
That's a
it.
lifeline.
Yeah, I can feel it.
My name is Steve Smith. I am also here from Churchill. And Jeff explained my Canon was quite well. And I am also an unhappy Time Warner customer. But I love CDW. So, so let's balance that out.
Hi, I'm Sam from the Buckley School, and my free umbrella can doesn't open.
Great for days like today.
It's a company I love and hate. That's prominent. There are times when they save me. There are times when they make me want to put my hair out. CDW, had good relationship with, bad relationship with, depending on the salesperson. RCN's been good to us. I'm not giving more than 2. So take me to you like. RCN's been pretty good to us.
Is that the URC guy from
John.
There's that you.
Oh,
John. That guy's creepy. I don't care how he wants to talk. I don't care how his business is. He's not super high. I'll put Matt on the spot. So Matt, roll introducing yourselves, where we're from, and either you can name, you either name a vendor we can't stand, or you can go, flip the script like John did and name someone you really love.
Okay. Matt Moran from Dwight. I was going to say MakerBot, I think is my vendor. I don't know. It's, I don't know. Keep hearing renewed things about them, but then I'll believe it when I see it. Are they still around?
I was gonna say, yeah, they're still around.
No, they closed their brick and mortar and they went all virtual.
They gave us a great paperweight that's in there.
We have like
You can make other
We have three.
The one we use is upstairs.
The older one.
You want to press out posters or something?
And my name is Colin Samuel. I'm with the Greenville School out in Long Island. The vendor I can't stand. So myself and Ken Ombach from Friends Academy have a vendor called Cosmic, which is a Google Classroom thing before Google Classroom was invented. It was like a sort of some parent basically sold Google to our schools. It's like an LMS from like 1998, and our schools both still use it. And the guy who sold it to us is now lost in Cayman Islands somewhere. I can't find him. So we have a problem. So Ken and I are talking. It's a vendor I can't stand because not only am I stuck with them, I can't move away from them. It's a problem. So it's called Cosmic.
With A?
Cosmic?
Yeah, no, but it was a C. There's left myself, Friends Academy, and Glen Cove High School, which are all like in a circle of evil.
How are you trapped?
How am I trapped? I can't get data out. So, I mean, I have 4 teachers who have their entire curriculum soup to nuts built into this thing. And I have tried, like, I've hired people to go through, you know, how it was built, to like reimburse engineers to get the data out. And at this point, I'm just gonna go to all the teachers and say, hey, start from scratch.
Yeah.
We'll pay you a stipend, come in the summer, but me start from scratch, because this stuff is stuff. Yeah, so it's painful. So Canon's got the same problem. He's sort of in the same boat, so he's talking.
I bet you hired some interns too to do that.
Pardon?
Like, how much did you spend on your data analysts who are going in to try and first engineer this?
Oh, I used a friend of a friend at a company. Actually, a friend of Prominent actually sent me a person to do it. And, you know, it was a pain in the neck. I don't want to get into details, it's too painful. And, just, I mean, my sort of buyer beware, if a parent comes selling you a product that's really good, never buy it. I wasn't there when it happened, but I'm feeling the sort of fallout. So I'm just gonna give you a quick spiel about why I did this meeting, and then I'll let Bernie take the floor, because I think Bernie is the person I like to take the floor than anybody else. This is my 8th and 9th year in NYCIST, and every year, as I tell JP, we bitch about the same vendors and the same situations over and over again. And we rarely do anything about it. We always say, well, this vendor sells, this one's good, this one's good, this one's bad. We always have conflicting stories. And I think what makes us unique from all other sort of email lists / groups that meet to talk about tech is that we actually have faces. And I think as a group, we have quote unquote purchasing / approval power over some of these vendors. And I always said to myself, if I ever became NYCIST president, I'd like to do something, put something together where we could actually, as a group, appraise the people that do work for us in such a way that if one person gets bad service, we all know. But if one person gets good service, we all know. And going around the room here, you know, some of us have all trumpeted a certain vendor, and then there's the occasional, well, I like them, but I don't. And then there's time where everybody needs. But what?
Wow, you're really flipping.
Hold on, wait.
I got a specialty.
Yeah, Jen likes Time Warner because.
There are backup connections.
Like your backup?
Yeah, stealthy was a gigabit symmetrical.
And how fast is your backup?
25.
Time Warner, I thought you said you got a gig with your Time Warner.
You know, it's their cell.
Yeah, so that kind of illustrates my point where we get different deals and different prices and different sort of things and handouts, contracts for different, you know, and every once in a while, without sort of divulging each other's special deals for each other's school, we should really be sort of contacted in such a way that all this information is semi-public. So if you get a good deal, I would know about it. Or if I get a raw deal, you would know about it. But if I get a bad sort of sales rep, which Blackwell's really good at doing, and then have the person move on in 3 months, then we all know, you know. And with companies like Apple, where we can be next door, schools can be next door and have completely different reps, even though we're the same size, same location, which always bothered me. But
And you'll get a new rep the next year anyway.
yeah, I know.
It's just a revolving door. I had one that was maybe there for 2.5 years. It was the longest.
Wasn't that Jam? Was it?
Does anybody know that
Jam
Jam's
got
gone?
fired. Jam's gone. He's fired.
He got fired?
Yeah, he got fired.
Does anybody know if the DOE stuff is settled yet?
The last email I saw, I'm not eligible for the DOE, so I don't, you know.
Slander. I looked a couple of days ago, the stuff's still not.
Good. I'm not eligible for the DOEs, so because being out of New York City, so I don't know, but I saw that Adam Van Alken actually posted something last week that said that it kind of was settled. I could be wrong.
I didn't see, that's why I was asking. I haven't seen anything. I don't think it's on me.
I checked on Friday, it was there.
It wasn't there? Okay. I mean, I'm being a Long Islander, I have nothing to tell you. So.
That's okay.
I'm not a Long, actually I'm a New Yorker, but I'm just But
they don't.
so going back a bunch of years, I know Hassan, where he's over there getting food now. When he was running NYCIST, he put together a NYCIST data collection sheet, which I at some point have to convert to Google Form. None of those things exist because spreadsheets is too crazy, but it's an excellent way for all our schools to sort of collaborate and collect data on what systems we're using, whether it be emails, information, document management, we name it, network vendors, just to get a sense of where we all are and what, and commonalities we can use to better, work things out between our schools. But then the next step we wanted to do was build a system that sort of database all this information all between our vendors, our contracts, and most importantly, our sort of reps. And I know Bernie had put something together. Bernie is like, I don't know what he's doing there.
I was looking for the thing. I don't think, I guess I can project. What is that?
Can you project it here?
Okay, so let's go around.
Is there an air player?
I mean, so I don't think I can take full responsibility for this because I'm pretty sure Liz, this was your baby, wasn't it initially? Wasn't this your idea?
Sure, yes.
We're using this as a license, so he doesn't know anything. You gotta write it, it's all. So, all right, so the running joke is when it was an email to Liz where Liz was basically, for lack of a better term, sort of striking a good term or about a vendor you had done business with. And you mentioned you should have like an Angie's List for like, vendors in NYCIST. And then I jokingly said we should call Lisbeth's List. And so far, no one's come up with a better name for it. So until somebody does, your name's on it.
I didn't put your name on it because without talking to you, because I knew that's gonna get me in trouble.
All right.
I'm calling it needless. We can change it, whatever you want to change it. That was the whole point of it. So what happened was, what came up was a bunch of these emails in close proximity to each other. Like a couple of different people talking about vendors. And everybody sort of had this universal like, yeah, we should totally get something together so that we can share all this information. And then it turned into this like massive diaspora of different platform solutions that could possibly be, like people started talking about, maybe we could do this in this one database, or we could use, Slack, or we could use, and then there was like a whole Slack book of the Bible. So like, I basically took like, an acronym and sat down and built this thing, which is essentially built off of a WordPress that is using a clone system that emulates Angie's List. And then I pre-populated it with a bunch of categories that we would be rating people on. Then I put it out to the world. Right now, this is public and open, but there's also nothing there that's going to get us in trouble. But the idea is to create something like this behind some sort of passkey, so we don't have vendors going in there saying like, oh, holy shit, or somebody else. But the idea is that we're using this to vet, and it's about, Jen, is your thing still up, or did it expire?
I think it's something.
I didn't get deleted. So that's under Angie's List rules. If somebody posts something, there's an approval process, right? Which you can turn off if you want to. But I kept it on so we didn't have spam bots harvesting on this thing.
Okay.
Additionally, if you have a post that gets no activity after 30 days or 60 days, you can set the threshold. It locks. Serious?
Do we have to evacuate?
That's what it sounds like?
Wait, it's okay. Wait.
What's going on?
It's because there's no scooper for the. They're like, it's okay.
The giant cockroach.
You're like, no, this is the Churchill School. Don't do that.
That was weird. Oh wait, you know what? Oh, I think I can use this. Can you just give me a second? Thanks.
You forget your password?
Yes.
Wait, I have mine.
Well, I'm logged in over here where I have the password.
Let me see John Oliver.
I'm just curious if this is gonna build everything.
I did, it was awesome. John Oliver's entire,
This is too important.
Don't worry about dick jokes.
Everyone's up there? I mean, that's all the kids are.
Yeah, they just were telling jokes.
Okay, you know what, I better get this sent, because I'm past HDM.
Oh, Bill Campbell's in there too.
No, it's like, it went away, but I can make it out.
No, I think that's it. Oh, it's
Extra.
what's going on? All right, I'm just gonna switch back.
You guys want to screw
It's fine, all right, it was worth a shot. I mean,
We
It's not worth continuing to fight this.
We're off.
Oh, yeah.
They already
All right, Jen, what is yours? Or do you want to come log in?
Yeah.
Because you can remember it.
I have my brand new password that I got. Go find the weird set of.
This is the exact same problem that I
I
have.
need to find the weird set of characters that I.
It's more, it was weird.
I have a very secure password on it by not changing it, and that means that
It was very strange.
All right, so the idea here is, we have members, we can all see each other, we know who each other are. The commentary and vendor responses are all built around a very simple user interface. Most of us know how to make a Craigslist ad type thing, so if you type in a little bit of information, holy cow. You weren't kidding.
Yeah, it does this for me. Last pass.
And it's case sensitive.
Wait, your last pass isn't working right now?
No, my last pass is fantastic.
Oh.
Parties is.
Mine, I can't get my Surface to work on this. All right, here we go. Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay,
All right.
Diana.
So this is like what you're seeing on your side. You've got details about your account. You can create a listing. You can look at the listings that you've posted. You can look at your messages. There's a messaging feature in here, which we probably wouldn't use. But creating a listing is literally as simple as, this is the title, this is the description, any kind of tags, link, phone number, and then add a category. And then you can add other stuff. So if you want to add pictures of the smart board installation that somebody said was complete, and it's kind of hanging at 45-degree angle and there's wire sticking out of the window, I say, this is what I'm talking about when they say complete, So this is a pretty simple and straightforward process. There's a ton of stuff on here that I just turned off. We don't need to have a physical location. I don't think most of us are routing to our, to VoIP vendors, places of business, unless, maybe you really had it with them. But so this is the idea, and the idea is to sort of keep this quick and easy to use, easy to review, and easy to interact with. The challenge is around the restriction. That was when I kind of kicked it out to the list. It's sort of like, okay, we need to keep this thing a closed door. It just means that everybody has one more password to manage, and somebody's got to gatekeep it. I'm happy to gatekeep it if that's what we end up with. I should probably also move it because I have this sitting on a vanity URL right now. But where it lives and how it lives, I don't really care about. It's a simple little run anywhere. But what it does and how it is governed, I think, is a bigger conversation. My general consensus or my general belief is that anybody who's on the listserv that we're on, the Google group that we're on, should have access to this. And that should be kind of like a two-way street. But I'm not, I guess I'm the head dictator of media lists, but that's a pretty small domain right now. I really want to hear what people think about this.
Do we know if there are any vendors?
As far as the last conversation we had around quasi-vendors, there are no vendors on the list.
They're not, but they have ways to get information.
Right.
Well, absolutely. I would say anything that you email or post here, a vendor is potentially going to see it. Probably your hated vendor, my favorite vendor, someone's going to do that. So one would, I think, need to stand behind the words.
Right.
So they say, will there be any anonymous postings or?
That's, again, this is up to it's not designed as such. It's designed so that you know your post.
Advocate anonymous
Right.
posting. I
Right.
would say stand behind your
No,
words.
I think that'd be the first rule is you couldn't post anonymously whatsoever.
All right, is somebody writing down the Fight Club rules here? Because I'm up here.
Well, authentication is required by default.
Right.
Well, you could turn off authentication altogether.
I can't, and that's not a great idea.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. Right. So Karen made a reference earlier about the piñata and attack over at home. And there was a slight screw up there. I had sent out an invitation to this meeting, and as a joke, I said, let's, attack because I can't stand it. And they, through a loophole that Karen and I both know, they actually got that email. And actually replied to Karen and asked her, well, can we come to the meeting and we'll bring a pinata too. So you guys can get a pinata with our name on it, but then we can hug and make up and be buddies. And I emailed the guy and said, sorry for writing that, but no, we can't come. So I learned to be a little bit more careful about putting it on the listserv because sometimes you have people who lurk and essentially one forward away from having information divulged anyway. I mean, so.
Right, I mean, I don't view it as any more dangerous than what most of the discussions on the list are.
Correct, and that's part of the problem too, is that most of the discussions on the list really are semi-public anyway.
So I think,
All right, I'll go Brandon and then Hassan, just and then Paul.
So yeah, I agree with no anonymous posting. And honestly, I think, if vendors saw this and they saw, negative things, maybe they upped their game a little bit. And it's like, especially if you make it so you cannot post anonymously and, we don't necessarily want like comment threads, in everything. But it wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing.
If this goes live, it's gonna get roboted out.
Yeah.
It would be behind a restrictive, like login only to see content kind of thing. And I'd probably even throw up a redirect page so that if something did specifically get pointed at it, you're just gonna get a dumb page saying like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. So in terms of the privacy aspect of it, that's the intention. But ultimately, we're not doing anything illegal here. This is not the Stonecutter Society. I mean, like what we're doing is as a group of people and as a consortium, we're exchanging information. If a vendor doesn't like that, that's kind of tough, like. But sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm not agreeing with what you're saying, Bert, you guys, and I'm going to play the devil's advocate a little bit. For me to write freely on this, I just need to know it's us. And also maybe we redo the membership, we just start all over. And you as the IT director or designee of the IT director, who has access to it.
You mean by redo the membership?
Start fresh, don't import from me.
Oh, I don't think that's what we're advocating. I think we're gonna put it out on a list, and so, I mean, there's 850 unique members on NYCIST, which I know is BS, because 2 of them are paid. But I would say probably actively, maybe that number is probably half of that, maybe less. I think if you put something out on a list saying, hey, this is something we're thinking about doing for sort of collecting and collating data about our vendors in terms of that level of service and contract and whatnot, I think the people who are active would create an account and sign on and look at it. But I don't think people who haven't touched it in 4 or 5 years, or the people who don't have any skin in the game, i.e. Raul, would probably participate. I mean, that's my take on it. Steve?
I think as long as we keep it professional and stick to objective, like these are the good things, these are the bad things, and not have like crazy Yelp review, angry ranting,
right?
Then no vendor's going to be offended by what we say, as long as we're straightforward, like my experience.
Right. That was why I sort of throughout the pinata experiences, don't be like me. It's a pretty stupid online, But yeah, we should definitely have some sort of protocol in how to basically structure what we say. We're all going to stand behind it anyway, so it's, think before you post that.
Right. So we were talking about this up in Mohawk. Like I moderate like 7 or 8 Reddit channels, 2 of which see more than 20,000 active users a day. So I have some familiarity with like governance of a bunch of people some of whom only exist to cause agita, and creating like a quick best practice doc that's just sort of like, here's what we want, here's what we don't want. If you break the rules once, we're just gonna mod your content out. If you break the rules twice, you're out. And just make it a very black and white thing that's very easily digestible, doesn't need to be run by a lawyer or any of the rest of the stuff. It's just sort of like, these are really simple rules. I do agree about, starting fresh from a list perspective. I don't even know, I took a look at that at one point in the conversation around this, figuring out if there was a way I could get single sign-on through Google or look at like importing, and there isn't a good solution for that. And I'm a little wary of creating some sort of like RESTful JSON creature that's gonna go out and grab stuff from Google and then put it back into a WordPress. It just sounds like a bad idea to begin with. But this is easily administrable. I would also want at least one partner in this, so that if I get hit by a bus, it doesn't all disappear. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a big black king. You should feel sorry for the buses.
You'll be late for work.
That driver's gonna have a very hard 6 months. But no, like this should be something that is in the trust, and I do think if we're looking, this is the other part of the conversation, like looking at this group as its own self-governing entity, separate from but connected to NYCIST. There should be some actual like recognition or authority or consensus around like these are the roles and these are the people, and that's really what I was looking for. Like, I don't want to go out and build this thing and start dumping stuff into it, only to have a bunch of people say like, what are you doing? This isn't where we want to go. So like, there needs to be some sort of a way for us to converse and make decisions around this kind of thing. Like, I picked green. Maybe people hate green, so like, let's use something other than green. Like, how do we figure that out? Like, I can throw up a Google poll. Is that what we want to use? Like, we can. Oh yeah, no, that's not the scary part. The scary part is sort of like us all sitting at a table, like a whole bunch of like really intelligent IT people like disagreeing. Like that's that's like, I'll take on a Google robot any day.
Can we actually find this out? I'm ready to put a comment in. What would it look like?
Oh, I just put one up.
Can I make one more comment before we get too far away about stuff that's going in and being careful about what you say? A lot of times, if you stick as closely to what actually happened in facts, there's nothing anyone can really do about that. If we're worried about law type issues, like facts are facts. You can't sue someone for facts. You can't really get in trouble in the same way.
That's what's all over content.
Jen, how did that go? Was it just tagged and then those things on the left index are tagged?
Yeah, so the
So I
numbers,
need a category.
the numbers under categories iterate based on the number of entries in there. So we have a whole lot of empty right now, and then Jen just put presentation product.
Well, okay, because on the place where you make a record, it said hardware.
Right, those were the categories.
Yeah.
So there's
And then there was an option for tagging.
right.
So I'm wondering about duplication of vendors. Like, is there any way we can have like a single vendor and multiple?
So yes, you can add multiple categories.
They have two, right now they have two categories, they have AV installation and AV systems. So there's one here and one here. I only put in my entry.
Right.
But I mean, if, like, we all had different comments about Time Warner.
Sure.
So,
But you
I'm
wouldn't
gonna
post
use
Time
her.
Warner if the first thing you do when you use these lists is look for the vendor. It's sort of like, I want to post my experience about Time Warner. You search for Time Warner and it's like, oh, look, here's a bunch of stuff. I can add my thoughts to this mix. But if for some reason, as a comment, I think this works very similar to Angie or.
well, I mean, in terms of protocol, like, how would we not make sure, but try to keep it as contained as possible so there aren't like 20 different posts about.
I mean, I think
Time
that's
Warner
part of the
versus-
role that me and whoever the other
Search
source that wants to.
Well, that's the same as the listserv, the Google group in general,
Yeah,
right? That Google posts, so you just have to take a second, right, to
Right.
search the existing archives in order to not duplicate. It was the same expectation.
Which is a massive problem with our Google group.
Yes,
now,
Right.
that's my
Where
point.
people just put an email out there, hey, any experiences you guys have with presentation products? And I'm like, what are you archiving searching?
Yeah.
But searching the archive itself is a pain in the neck, because you'll get like
Right.
17 to 18 emails that don't sort of bubble to the top the information you're looking for, which is why I think this is really unique, because then I can just type it in,
So
and
on
then
the
I see 2
homepage,
stars, 3 stars, 1 star.
on the homepage, when we have this list, the top 5 things you should do when posting a record is search. Number 1 is search.
Correct. You should
Number
really
2.
look up if your vendors were even put in before you.
Hey, wait, just like before you post.
Yeah, exactly. You can put up best practice, people may still ignore it. It is part of, to answer the question directly, it's part of the role of administering this thing. The same way that, Raul has to
Where's the
approve people
search?
who want to
Where's
join.
search? Where's search?
I probably turned it
Can we
off.
make a giant search?
Yes, we can make a
It's like
giant search.
Search here, and then posts.
Maybe at the end of the categories, I was having trouble with keeping
Top
search
of the
out.
categories, top.
Is it at the top?
It should be at the top, I'm sorry, I'm being weird, I appreciate it.
On the flip side, the positive side effect of that negative action, like asking a question that's been asked maybe 5 months ago, it's usually 5 people answer it with more recent information.
Yeah,
Or
sometimes.
no one answered it completely before.
Yeah, if it was like
So
2 years ago.
sometimes you do get more content, although for people who read that and are sick of all the email coming in, sometimes you get some.
Well,
fresh
similarly, people put recent comments on old posts, so that's, and then it's at least threaded properly.
Yeah.
The search is turned off. That was part of the reason I turned off the search, was because I was worried about Google robot getting at it, because WordPress search is notoriously harmful, so.
Oh.
But it can be turned back on again. I just don't have any security. Oh, God, yeah, it's.
The search on a private unlisted site, the search is.
Any WordPress, any instance of WordPress that's out there, there's an entire like battery of scripts written just to farm the search to get into the system. More than half the vulnerabilities that they've patched in the last 2 versions have had to do with people using search bots to get at usernames so that they can then do password breaks. Like they can't get the password, but they can figure out using the search, the content author's
The
ID.
same thing with the search in a Google site, in a Google App Store.
I doubt it's Google has a totally different architecture than this. WordPress is built around a really simple, like SQL progressive search process, and they just figured out how to break it. So,
What about populating the vendor names?
and that again, I'm happy to I would be happy to do a spreadsheet or something to get it started and do the legwork to get things instantiated.
I just see a potential issue with like someone putting in Time Warner, someone putting in Time Warner deal, someone putting in GWC, stuff like that. There's not a lot.
That goes into
Yeah,
curation,
exactly.
I feel like.
Sure, but I'm happy to take a swing at the first bunch and like fill this up with my vendor list and the people that we've talked about in a couple of these meetings. But there's still gonna be more stuff that, like your Cosmos guy, I would have never gotten that.
I wouldn't put him up there since he's candid now and he doesn't have a product.
But this could be, you could help the case, man. You could break the case of this.
I would have just gonna be the Grand K kicking his ass. I mean, I guess my main thing too now is also how do we get people to continually check this over like just going through listserv?
Well, but I think that again, I'm an active member on the listserv too, and I'm not kidding about the partner, whoever that is. Like we gotta do a little bit of shouldering work here. That becomes part of the protocol of. There's an ambassador piece to this too, and then if you're an active member on the list and somebody asks a question like that, it's like, hey, that's great feedback. Would you mind posting it? Or sometimes even just copying and pasting it. But copying and pasting is dangerous if you don't necessarily want that view on another place. So it's really just about saying, inserting yourself in the conversation, saying like, hey, there's a bunch of information over here. I just looked and most of it's older than 18 months. Do you mind updating it if you've got new experiences, new graphics, et cetera? And using that as the opportunity to redirect. Because I'd say conservatively, we have 3 or 4 of those a month. Looking at the list traffic, just pedantically. I'm not doing any analytics. Like, and it's really heavy this time of year, and it's kind of dead in the middle of July. But like, you know, you break it out, that's about what we're
I mean, if you need someone to, I'd be more than happy to discuss that.
I wasn't gonna put your foot in that bear trap. Man. Okay, with two, we might actually all stay sane.
I'll go too.
I mean, I know.
But now we have everybody in the volunteer bucket. Nobody's using it. All right, so maybe then what we can do is, I can get a couple. The security piece, just right now, everybody's gonna have to manage another login. Is everybody okay with that?
ABC 1 3.
And then, we could just.
Dollars
It's a crap. See, this is what I was talking about, the Google robot. We'll take that on. No, but, and then from a feature request standpoint, I'm using a boxed system here. This is not, I could go out there and write something more customized, but I feel like this gets us to like 90%.
Yeah, a little better.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to start
I've more time
like
break
this content
content
where like
last
somebody
time.
couldn't accurately know who did what and what was customized.
Right.
As simple as possible, so again, the hit by bus scenario.
Right. I say it all the time.
I say it all the time. You have to, you get hit by bus.
Right.
Let's live in Long Island, you get hit by.
I just want to see how many times you knock.
All right, well, so I will get back to the list sometime this week. I've got a pretty crazy week, but the volunteers who put their heads in the guillotine, you'll get an email with the membership thing if you don't already have one. They sign up for membership and then I can promote your user to an admin. And then we'll just sort of have a shared group of key holders to this thing. I have everything on moderate right now, so anytime somebody like farts in the direction of this website, I get an email. So like we can change that. I want to know what's going on right now because of what this is, but we can tune that up and tune that down as needed. And I believe we can set the preferences by user, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a system like that.
Other comments or?
Thank you so much.
Well, that is actually something I want to bring. Where should this is right now, I have a DreamHost domain that's tied to my organization, as you can tell from the domain name. You know, I can put this on something random, we could get a vanity URL, we could do, how do we want to handle this?
Who actually, so at one point, NYCIST.net was actually a domain.
Yeah.
Somebody in this group held, I think it's still Raul. Is that
It
actually
was
still
who
the
is
case?
search.
Well, somebody can do a who is on it, but I think it's still Raul. Which is a whole other issue, because like, Raul basically like has his name on everything and I can't get a hold of him. That's in there.
Well, but it's kind of unnecessary because NYCIST.wikispaces.com is longer but works and always works.
Right, but for something like this, it's really.
Something like this, where would you host it?
And you can't make anything of it.
Yeah, that was easy.
NYCIST.net used to exist, yes.
This looks like it's owned by James Byers in Dallas, Texas.
What?
What, is that right? Yeah. Some guy named James Byers in Dallas, Texas.
So somebody bought it, it expired.
Yeah.
It's NS is through nearly freespeech.net.
Cool. Lost that one. What about NYCIST.org?
Or .nyc, that's how I got this, it's a vanity URL.
Say with NYC.is.
Oh, it's going to Wikispaces.
It's IST is.
No, I got something like
Istanbul?
It says a country.
Maybe whoever it is just hit the.
Could be fake. If they're private, it might give you random
Yeah,
information.
yeah.
Right.
All right, you know what?
Oh, yeah, to respect my privacy. I could just email them.
We don't have to. dig
Now
down
we can
into
start
this.
from scratch, just like Cosmic will force school to do so. Do you want NYCIST.nyc? I can put it on. Well, keep going. Just kidding.
NYCIST.org is for sale. Daddy will sell it to you right now.
I mean, I'm happy, I have right now like several $100 sitting in a domain registry that I'm willing to donate to the group if somebody can agree on, if we can agree on what we want. I can't obviously fund it in perpetuity, but I can get the $20 out the door to buy the damn thing.
Let's,
I think that's.
I mean, we're what, 19 people? Let's put out the list first.
Okay. Well, why don't we put it out with some options instead of just
Right,
starting
that's what I was saying. We do not make, what?
Just it doesn't seem like a big enough decision to open up to everybody. I mean, not that this is like some Game of Thrones, you know, like story. What? Yeah.
They cared, they would have been here.
That first negative comment is.
All right, sure.
You know, it's just,
You save it for the vendors.
that's, it's a good idea. For that. It just seems like.
All right, fine, cool. So, .org, .nyc.
I like whatever's cheaper.
Oh, right.
.org.
Let me see.
.org.
Let's go, Daddy will sell it to you right now.
Let me find it.
You're not gonna sell anything,
I
right?
checked.
NYCIST.org. NYCIST.org.
Yeah, it's available.
All right, be darned, people, it's happening.
Oh.
You also use ShakeShack.org, I own that.
I might be talking about
Shake Shack.
That's right.
Well, when after you said it, I was like, yeah, I'll take that. Come in handy someday. Shake Shack Academy.
I got myself boots from the time again. You got yourself a good week.
All right. How do we use this information against vendors?
Yes.
Not against, but for. Not against. You have a bad vendor experience, right? How do we make this public to them? How do we say, hey, you have 2.5 stars on
Yeah.
List?
Why would you want to?
I think what you would do is, what what we do now in a more informed way, which is I've been talking to other IT directors in the independent school consortium, and I've heard these very specific things about this. What do you say about it? You know, and you know, that is what we would be doing now. We're just trying to streamline the process. I don't think you want to raise visibility around this.
No.
Because then they're gonna make a business for creating artificial IT directors that they can insert into the list.
The other question I have too is, in terms of, and I always grapple with this, because every once in a while, someone will say something on the list, like I'll give you the example, who's the one who just posted about the New York whiteboard of New Jersey or whatever it was. That was,
Oh, is
right.
that Jonathan?
The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, whatever they're called. Somebody made that reference.
Yeah.
Whatever, so, but here's an example of, like, for lack of a better term, a mom and pop organization who services very few schools extremely well. You now publicize them as a great vendor, and we all are like, yeah, we all want to get in on them. And then they're overstretched to the point where they can't really deliver the same amount of service to everyone here that they do to you. I sort of have that, like, if I have a really good vendor, I'm like, do I hold on to it, not tell anyone kind of thing? Is that a problem that anyone else here has with something like this? Where you have a really small, tiny vendor, and you're sort of like teetering back and forth between, well, let's get more business to, well, I want to make sure I get the level of service I've always been afforded to get.
But isn't it that on them then?
Yeah,
You have to
that's
figure
on
out what
them.
workload they can manage.
I mean, what you're describing is the rise and fall of tech. That is how tech started. It started as a small bunch of people who were really good at this one thing, and they turned into a giant company that were really bad at everything, and now they're coming back down to a small company and trying to figure out how to be good again. Like that.
And you're missing horribly.
Well, yeah, okay. I didn't say they were doing a good job, but that's what they're trying to do. Like, I mean, I think that's the goal of all the vendors that we're working with. I don't think you would talk to any small mom and pop and say, like, no, please don't tell your friends about it. You know, I hear what you're saying in terms of backlash of it if somebody gets overbooked, but that is on the vendor. Like, that's part of their book of business. Is like, if you stand behind your quality of service and you take on 50 clients, you better hire some people. You know, like.
Because I'd hate to assume what their workload is like, you know, if you're not giving them business, especially if you like them that much.
Seems like it's your prerogative too to say, like, to the vendor, hey, do you want me to publicize you to other schools? In which case, is there any kickback? But yeah, it's on you to decide if you want to publicize it or not. It's on them to decide if they want to take on more clients or not.
You know, as a vendor ever once said to you, we have too many clients, we're not going to take you on right now. F.
Yes.
Presentation.
Yes.
Really? Who?
This was like an independent type, really manage.
There's a kid got back.
Miracross does that?
Miracross has threatened that. They say they have a certain amount of project managers to do implementations. And so they can only take a certain amount, especially in the January, people that are trying to do summer, fall switchovers, they say they only have a certain amount.
I'm flirting with that list right now. Like, I'm right at the edge of not being able to go because they're like, just waiting. And they're honest about it. They're like, if you try and push it through, we won't make your deadlines, or you'll have problems. So they're willing to take my money. You know, they're willing to say, like, we'll still do it, but it's not going to go right.
See, but that's good to know for me, because I'm looking at Veritas in 2 years, to
Right.
know that I have to get on a wait list is actually like.
But if you're already on, if you're talking and walking and with them already, then they've got you on that list. The problem is that they just had 2 big clients come in out of nowhere in the past month. And they're like, yeah, we're really tight to make this work.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So wait, Miracross is January.
That's great, like,
January, February.
I'm trying to work with like,
It's
a
better
vendor
than
that
most schools want to do it at
wants
the
to
same
moderate.
time.
Yeah.
Do all the projects at the same time. So it's not necessarily waiting, it's just timing.
Well, we're doing like a, I hate to say this out loud, but final sites we're doing on our website. And,
They just had a 5-day turnaround on a basic like form for me.
yeah, I know.
5 days.
I didn't mention them as my thing to hate that I could have. They actually cut us a really nice deal based on the fact that we said we'd do it in the fall/winter. So they actually gave us like half off. If we had said, if we had waited a month to sign up, we would have filled full price. So some companies do things like that. Which was, you know, just painful for me, because I would love to know when my workload is light, but kind of screwed me over in a sense. Whatever, we have to save that. I thought you were gonna say something.
No, I just, it just drives me nuts when vendors do that. So if they can give you a deal today, they can give you a deal tomorrow. You know, like, why today? Well, people running into that, so, you know, buy them at the end of their quarter is, that's what they want to. So they don't get the revenue.
If I said something about public companies, I was practically saying the whole quarter. I don't know, maybe because they hire clients, consultants, client success managers.
Their sales guys are super corporate, like, they're super like, hello. More than I got
I
it.
mean, tech guys super on-tech. The tech guys super on-tech, that's the problem.
I try to give them.
Yeah, terrible tech, whatever, so. But yeah, so things, I mean, there's deals like that that, you know, I can't stand, which is, thanks for another. My last question to this whole thing is in terms of us working more as a quote-unquote consortium, for things like pricing. I know we sort of battled with this up at NEAT, talking about Adobe, which is a cost in terms of Creative Cloud. I actually talked to them, it doesn't make sense at all to actually be a consortium. So we need like 25,000 points, some ridiculous number to actually save anything, which is impossible for anyone like for us to hit.
But doesn't that venture us, if we're talking about consortium price, doesn't it venture us into governance of the group itself?
Yes, it does. On some aspects, not all of them. I mean, it depends
And
on.
we're dancing with it, you know, perhaps this time.
Yeah.
We have consulting pricing on nights.
We do.
Yeah. But that's through NYCIST, isn't it? Not through NYCIST.
That's on NYCIST.
Right.
Nice saves.
NYCIST. That's what we were talking about doing with the Adobe stuff was through NYCIST as well, which was the idea, like hitting 25,000 is not impossible. We've got 10 or 12 schools that are north of 1,000 in terms of their total seat costs. So you're halfway there before you open the door to the other 100 schools who say, like, how many licenses do you need? Like, that was the purpose of looking at that corporate model.
And did Barbara even go down that road in terms of?
So there was somebody who broke their hip that kind of threw a monkey wrench in the process, and I haven't been fast to
It's Sean, we all know. Jesus.
And I don't want to blame him for it, but like Sean was brokering a lot of the conversation with Adobe, and I was doing the dumb data entry and collection, and the two of us made a workable team. And I'm not bad mouthing him. He actually was like, he emailed me not like a week after, and he's like, I really want to keep steam on this. Like, let's set up a meeting, and it never really happened. We didn't get great data collection from Mohawk to kind of move it forward in a way that we could go to Adobe and say, like, yeah, here we've got like 30,000 right here. It is going to have to get stuff a little bit more thoroughly if that's what we want to get to.
All right, well, I mean, he was supposedly at the Agile East Challenge yesterday, so I think he's sort of out and about for sort of.
He's watching.
Pardon?
He's making a joke about it.
That's. The other thing I wanted to sort of talk about was, I don't know if anyone has had a chance to fill out the NYCIST, which somebody had approached me from, I think, what school, they wanted to build a Google form for that, because this, like, I don't know who owns that spreadsheet, the NYCIST. Can somebody pull it up there real quick?
I do now, but it used to be, Alex Vaughan had created this in the old NYCIST software. And I also argued, should we make something more robust, something more data? I'm practicing the same thing, the simpler the better, but just a Google spreadsheet.
Right, but you can actually have like a form, like.
You could have a form, we could have a form.
Feed the spreadsheet.
For data entry in software. They
But
used to
the
be.
problem is once you have a form, then you can't update your own entry.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to create it.
You can set that in the form.
You can set that in the form preference.
You can go back. Yeah.
Alright.
You just can't edit the spreadsheet thing.
Yeah.
So like, an individual can go back through the form side and change their entries.
But have you done that after time has passed?
NYCIST data collection.
Because I know that after you submit the
Where is
form,
it?
there's a link that's. And then you
Yeah, you got it the nicest
And you
way.
go back to the-
Oh,
I had it done in like.
I didn't start like this year.
Nice is how we
Like, I put
space
it, I
is
put it
that.
ours last year, and then I went in
Nice is
fall
how
and updated it for this year.
And,
Do we need to go to Heather to tell us that?
Oh, no, you can't give me a form now, you're right, sorry, I missed your question.
okay.
Yeah,
So
so
what,
I don't know
what if
what-
you have a link to this form itself, would that be?
If you're logged in to the same Google account,
Right,
when you go back to the form link,
right, so you
it
need
will
the
look.
link form.
You have to, so the two settings you have to have are you have to have, in order to have edit settings, it has to capture your email.
Really, it's very wide. But what I do is if my head of school is asking me something, right? What's going on with what operating system is somebody use? All I do is copy the left column, the school name, and that column really good.
Yeah, we did the same thing with our advanced math.
But a lot of the data is really, really, really old.
It is. A lot of people out there look at that.
I haven't heard of it. See, a lot of it's from like 2009.
2009, that was the first version, that was the wiki version.
I think this also needs to move to management, you know?
Well, so
I
here's,
know it, that's why I've been managing it, but if I, it's editable by everyone, so, who can manage it?
Been several in the last bunch of days.
one of the things that we were kind of talking about before we actually sat down, and maybe this is something that you need to, like, grab Raul and get him on board with, is using this, like the annual submission of this form as your re-up to the list. Like, we're gonna clean the list every year, and if you don't fill out this form, like, you're not on the list anymore. And that cleans out the junk. It forces people to keep their information up to date, or at least pretend to.
I will play a slight devil's advocate to that. Not everyone in this meeting is a quote-unquote tech director. The list also has sort of technologists and, coordinators who don't have to fill this out. Maybe you could like, I don't know, I mean, that's just my, sort of devil's advocate.
So in those,
Why don't you these two together, this and the list, or that list?
because I think this is in some ways more important when you're looking at our constituency. Like, the vendor thing is a nice ancillary project. I've used this a lot of times in making recommendations.
When I found out about this, when we sent out that email last week, it blew my mind. I was like, this is everything I want to ask everybody here at this table, all the time. It's super helpful. Even the stuff from 2009.
At least it's something.
Yeah.
We can clean it up, 'cause I don't care.
We have about, what, 60 schools that.
Yeah, I just saw cartels.
Yeah.
Ranting about the Illuminati.
Hey, his Google Plus is still like comedy gold. I read it. I'm serious. There's something that is pretty awesome.
His Twitter.
It's awesome.
Fred?
Yeah.
He's still innovating, and God bless him.
I didn't say that, but like, he still looks the sector for
Whatever.
But he actually teaches.
In our hearts.
His wife.
His wife still works at Franklin.
There's no time,
No, Lori's no longer. at
Lori's in Riverdale.
Well, I didn't see it on this list.
Everybody else.
You didn't ask my graders.
But he's no longer teaching, he's actually teaching like CS classes over like long distance now, right?
When you scroll down, you see how many.
Yeah, it's like,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, he does the longest.
55.
The last.
Which is, yes, because there are 90, I believe there are 193 schools in 9 states. Half of them are in Manhattan alone.
I think 55 is a pretty good turnaround.
55, I think is allowed to. Just, I'm being the asshole.
Wait, what's up with that?
That,
Is it just shrinking?
so,
Okay, is everybody here on this list? How about that? I'll put everyone in.
Oh, wait, you got him to play some.
Let's just go back and forth. Too bad.
Just trying to explain it.
talking about Smash. You're on the list, college.
Yeah, sort by call name.
I do know when I was a senior part, I looked at
J.
that was
I wouldn't.
See that little drop down?
Are the categories still?
Sort that.
Relevant? Yeah.
Relevant.
Yeah, that's not changing. It's hard to find sizes.
Scott, thanks for coming out, man. Appreciate it.
Like I changed it to name of person maintaining this data.
Honestly, really, I don't know. Okay, let's get this done. Let this Yeah, it's important.
I'm pretty sure I did this. Like, if I haven't, something's really wrong.
Zero.
Pardon?
Just created in 2009.
Well, it's created in 2009, actually, I think. But
Yeah, it was 3 days, 3,000 scroll up, right?
This is way easier to read than the last.
It's in order to check that.
I think it's happening. I think so.
Who's controlling this right now? Steve?
Somebody watching on the video is true.
God.
There.
That's not.
Well, let me know, if something's missing, or if you think something should be renamed, we can decide.
Maybe we just got no value until the.
I was saying, all the categories right here.
Yeah, let's look up what,
Yeah.
Keep it cheap.
Oh my God.
Plus slash minus.
Users definition of 356 to 1.
Wait, I wanna see what the school had.
Oh, my ratios, yeah.
send it to the audience.
Yeah, I didn't get that number percentage of overall total operating budget.
That's a good given.
Nobody,
You can get that from the 900.
Total operating budget.
It's like, you can Google it.
Well, if you can,
I can Google your 900. Every nonprofit.
not every,
Not everybody fills out a 990.
right, I was gonna say that because I think, I had to one time look up your school on 990 and I couldn't find it.
Nonprofit show up?
So all nonprofits 990 postings are a matter of public record within 1 year of the current year. So you, right now, we can go out and get 14. 15's not out there because nobody's got their taxes yet. 15 will be posted sometime in June or July, at which point everybody can see everything. What's on your 990, generally speaking, are the ins and outs of the general finances of the organization. You get the top 5 salaries of the organization, and you can use the give and take. The reason a lot of our independent schools do not file 990 is that they have found some way to bypass that base 501c3 requirement and either file under a religious organization or a direct aid organization, which makes you exempt from a 990 so that nobody on the New York Times can see how much that school is making at their school.
No, but you're right. I mean, why I'm also was after 994. I was never, I was just pulling to look at the salaries. I've never really seen the operating budget. That's my.
If you go to, what is it, Blue Star, Blue Star is a nonprofit research organization which aggregates 990 data with other nonprofit public information. And you can generally get at a pretty good sense of somebody's P&L as a nonprofit for like $7.99 for the start. Like I've never given a nonprofit that I couldn't get more dirt on than their 990 there. So. Yeah, NYCIST publishes, there's like, at the end of the day, all of this shit's on NYCIST. So whatever you want to know about anything's on NYCIST. And then there are paid services that are aggregating the same data sources that NYCIST does and packaging.
So any thoughts on this? Any about changing topics or changing column names? How should we do that?
There's a lot of comments.
Yeah, they're all kind of, I think they're all kind of. I thought all of them were really, yeah. I mean, what is useful to some, useless to one person might be useful to somebody else. And just keep on promoting it, I'll send a reminder out every once in a while.
And when you actually part of
Like if your school is not represented.
Housing, is that? We're not including.
The welcome post to NYCIST, I don't get me started. It's actually something that Raul has to change because he's the administrator of the list. So
Does he not want to give up
Welcome
his,
is that message.
I don't know who it is, but
Welcome. Welcome what?
If you go to the
We don't
Google
want
group,
Yeah.
what's
the welcome.
I haven't asked. I don't, so JP was the one who told me he asked and never got it. And then I asked,
Just text him.
and he kind of said, yeah, I'll give it to you, then I never
What do you
got it.
want?
And right now, I think it's Raul, I think it's Gina Marcel, and that's it.
Well,
And
that's also kind of funny. I mean, I like the idea of like the current, maybe this is silly, but the current president, you know, how they're saying it. And that keeps that person active and doing things.
I asked when I was president, he wouldn't give it.
you don't give it, and that was what, 7 years ago?
And he wouldn't take one of my pay people.
And also, like, it would be nice to hear people that at the meetings, you know, because those two
They're not
people
qualified.
happen to just not attend a lot of meetings for a variety of reasons, there's no judgment. But who do we want to have access to the list? Maybe that's a better question. Who should have access? I believe the president.
I think the current president should have it,
Okay.
that would be nice, you know, but I asked him, you asked him, yeah, that was what,
I
2009.
never know.
JP said he didn't, I don't understand, so like, the actual like welcome message and like, you know, some of that, that's him, and I've actually
The
called him.
power is not take, you have to take the power, right? Not give it.
Yeah, but the sign it thing.
People are gonna be pulling out that.
I shouldn't have to ask. He's the actual overall admin of the list.
But the list is at the Google group.
Yes.
Okay, so we want to share Google group.
Well, Don
Calling
must
Raul right now? Oh, wow. All right. I texted him, he said yes, and then never did it, and I texted him.
the other owner, there's one more owner. Don Buck is the owner too.
Oh, well, isn't this funny?
There's
If
no-
you go to the Google group right now and you go to members, it specifically says
Don Buck,
those
the
four
owner.
names, Raul, Gina, Don, I counted.
It's like a Columbia like cartel, you know? That's what it is, I'm for lack of a better term, this is Columbia cartel.
Absolutely.
Knowledge is like.
Yeah, exactly.
20-some years ago, I can do that.
Well, they say that thing.
Yeah.
This is a list of requests, or it's just, you're on for life.
Well, that's part of
No, he does that like once a year or once in 2 years, actually. Labels it up.
Based on noticing it's posted or not.
How can you tell that?
He really does. No.
Well, he sends something out to kind of renew the thing. Just remember having.
I've never had it in 5 years.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm just gonna find Raul.
In the 5 years I've been on, I've never seen that.
I've never had to be on.
He'll send something out as a. Yeah.
As a
Let's
what?
see, like a test message, probably after he's cleaned something out.
I mean, he posted something a lot of.
No, I don't know about that.
Other than bounces, I can't.
I mean, I joined from the school and I rejoined personally, which wouldn't be kosher these days because I didn't know where.
No, when I started Aspire, I added my personal.
That's what I did.
So I have two, I have two.
Wow, I just got one. But
Yeah, I also,
We're at the NS application.
It's insurance.
nice. I also have two, because
Sign up.
I left for school after he came back, and when I was not at a school, I still had access to it.
Yeah.
What about the folks who go to school in California, like our former director left and he's in California now, and he posted something the other day. And it was very like, I am popular, and I like it.
Yeah.
I think
I mean, it's a completely different perspective for one, that you may not.
If they're going to
If they're in
put up
school,
with us-
in a school that has similar issues.
It's smacks.
Yeah.
It provides diversity.
I mean, I think part of it too is like
I'm not kidding, that's just.
creating like an MREDI eligibility. You know, I mean, I think everything we've been talking about, whether it's domain names or spreadsheets or Google Groups access, it's like, this is about governance. And it's about like establishing something like, there's a drive here or a number of initiatives here that are saying we should get organized and get some, you know, governing bylines, and the tools that we're using to communicate and facilitate the work of the group should be tied to the senior leadership of the group, sort of just as a general consensus. And if, you know, people are grumpy about that, I mean, this is why I'm trying to get more than one person with the keys to the car. You know, it's like, if I stop working at a school, like, this shouldn't go away with me, nor should it become a cumbersome, horrible thing for somebody to keep it moving.
But I think we gotta take a stab at getting some bylaws together, you know, and then you do this for like a local hunting club with 6 people. Like, how many schools, you know? Like,
Why do you think there should be more than one position?
I don't remember the circumstances. Talking about governance, so I did go to my school, talk about governance and all of that. So I got back on that. There's a reason why independence.
What?
Can I just leave it there?
No, I mean, so.
I'll lose my job.
Are you, what, you're afraid we about to say something else?
No, I mean,
Can I do something?
this discussion will go on.
yeah, that's, this is an off the record conversation.
It's not that off the record.
Broadcast on. Well, slight minor segues. Our next meeting is actually Wednesday, April 6th, which at least the loop of me having run a meeting on every weekday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which I'm supposed to do. So Wednesday, April 6th is a joint meeting with the Hudson Valley Libraries Association. It'll be held at St. Anne's in Brooklyn. JP is hosting that, and I will be putting out 3 books on the list of, well, 2 books and a bunch of videos for us to look at to discuss part of the list. And I always bring up that as a segue because when we were up at Mohawk, Joey Piedmont, who also is a tech innovator / librarian at Little Red, mentioned that Hudson Valley Libraries Association, in the same way as we are, which is just librarians in independent schools, they have governance and bylaws, and organization, and committees.
I paid $30 to them a few years ago.
I'll pay dues.
Oh, that's right.
I'll still pay for it.
Well, and again, but that's why you have to have bylaws. If you're gonna set up dues, who's gonna be the treasurer, what, I mean, at that point, you're talking about creating a separate 501c3. We are becoming an independent, nonprofit organization that exists for the purpose of sharing information in educational technologists based around independent schools in New York City. And we can have Emirati members that are in Austin and in California and in other places, but that's gotta get vetted and passed by a group, and you gotta keep minutes on meetings, and you gotta, you know, like, there's formal stuff that we've gotta step into if we wanna go to governance. You can't do it like halfway.
It's working as well.
One thing I talk about governance committee is that if you ever were president, you still have your, part of this, you should have some role in helping out. For example, the future president, you're going to be asked on to the board. So that's the way it works. Now you know. You don't know that you're the past president.
Well, I know.
Yeah. So if you have that role, if you're still in the game, you're still the IT director or whatever role you have in the school, and we have what? We're at our 20th year, I think, right? 20th, 25th year, something like that. Started in '93. As NYCIST started in '93. So how many IT directors do we still have? Past presidents, I think quite a few.
In this room alone, I count 1, 2, 3. It's a lot. It's a lot of us.
Some have left, others left, others left, and so.
It's not on the list though.
On the list, but they can be part of the government. You can decide on that. If they're still in education, they're still part of our schools, maybe they should be. Long back. So all for the next discussion.
Aaron?
What?
There's a list there.
Yeah. No.
I think we can say so there's a list of.
Yes. Well, I was thinking though, that remember we talked about vendors overlapping, like, in a way Trevor Shaw's a vendor, because he kind of vending stuff these days. And Stephen Lewis has been selling stuff, and Don is a vendor.
Rishon?
Yeah, Rishon, okay. So it's interesting, and I mean, I've always, yeah, totally. And I mean, I don't care enough about any of that, because I think that their input is valuable, but there's a lot of gray areas.
It's a little bit different, like when someone from a group becomes a vendor or is a consultant or something like, they still cross over, but when like the sales rep from Canon is in on the list, I think that's very clear.
Is that confirmed? You Google?
No, he's not. I'm just
Okay.
I'm giving an example of
Well, I don't know, like the Steve Bergen
Vendor.
question is an interesting one, because I have not contacted him since I've been at Spire, but he's clearly scraped something because I'm on his mailing list and I know
I've gone it twice. I resent
So
that.
like, that's where you get like, even in the Steve Bergen question, it's kind of an interesting one.
But I mean, I think what you're raising here is part of the establishment of governance bylaws. You know, and in the case, so you have a very clear cut statement that vendors are not part of the list or part of the group membership. You can't pay additional dues to get in as a vendor. And if you are somebody who's a member of the list who becomes a vendor, or you represent yourself as a hybrid person, you need to pay. You are either a member of this organization and you do not vend, or you are a vendor, but you're off the list, I'm sorry. And that's your choice to make as an individual at the time that that assignation is getting made. You know, and it's up to you as part of your good faith representation to make that, make people aware of that. If you say, hey, I'm starting a business, I'm gonna start writing apps, it's sort of like, okay, well, that's gonna kind of opt you out of the list, you know. And
But can it stay on the list and not sell their product?
that's what I'm saying, yes, you can stay as a member, but not as a vendor. You're not representing the interests of your company. You know?
There was somebody from a streaming company, right? Was always at our meetings. Does anyone remember?
Huh?
There was this person.
A woman?
Always come to our meeting.
Was she a woman?
There was a woman.
It was a long time ago.
Oh, yeah,
Gosh, no.
Diane Bosch.
Yes,
Who's back somehow doing something similar. She just showed up again.
But she like moved to Egypt for a while.
Yeah, but she's
Right.
back in some capacity. I think she's
Usually
available.
contact. That's why I haven't heard
So
from her in a while.
somebody like her is always at NYCIST meeting,
Yeah.
but at the same time, she never was pushy.
No, and she really did provide a full service.
Yeah, never really pushed, you know, this is what we offer, never really asked for a meeting, never.
Yeah.
Someone can be my head of school. Something that often wanted to do.
Be around, so obviously if anybody really wants to, it's a lot of work, and my initial, reaction is, I think deep down inside, we all think it's a good idea. I think deep down inside, we're all afraid to jump on that thing, right, okay, because it's gonna be a lot of initial, like, work and.
But so I wasn't kidding about the hunting club thing. There's a reason that I know how to moderate, right? Is because I run a hunting club with 47 guys in it. Like, and they range from age 16 to 87. So
Hunting?
I was actually here and present.
Oh, okay, all right.
So like like basically you establish the initial dues. So we go to a lawyer and we say to the lawyer, we're starting a 501c3. What do you charge? If there's paperwork fee, state, corporation, all the rest of that stuff. You figure out what that number is, and you divide it by the number of prospective members. And that's your starting dues plus $5, so you have a little bit in the kitty to buy cookies or something. And then you move forward from there.
But
And-
do you really have to establish a 501c3 if all you're doing is collecting dues for the purpose of spending money on behalf of your
It's
organization?
really helpful to, because otherwise an individual has to hold that money with their social security number tied to it. So you're getting the idea as a business, but then you have to file as a business, and we're not a business, we're not trying to make a profit. So like if you file as a business and get an EIN as a stakeholder company and don't file a profit for 5 years, your rate of auditing goes up by like 20% every year, because the government's like, wait a minute, there's like $10,000 going through this
Well,
thing.
501c3 is huge work. That's like,
It's-
even more work than just trying to establish the information.
But it covers all the same things that we're talking about, like the bylaws, like what the governance is, how, like, oh, these are all.
You do all of that without a 501c3 registration, that's.
Sure, but what I'm saying is that if we gotta do it, why not go the whole route, you know? Why go through that liability? Because then it does become very tied to individual people. If we create a 501c3, it has life beyond all of us. If we all get hit by a bus, we're all on the same bus.
Which might happen if we do
I want to share a story. Like, this is something that I never considered, but at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, they have a voluminous travel guide, as you might expect, of like what you're allowed to do and how everything gets done if you're on museum business travel. And one of the rules is that no more than 3 museum personnel can be on the same conveyance going to or from a location for travel. because like 80 years ago, they had a plane crash and they lost like 3 senior people at the same time. And it's just like, nobody knew how to handle it, you know, so they basically just wrote it into the laws. It's like, you have to buy your tickets through the museum ticket agency, and the museum ticket agency want to make sure that nobody's on sale.
So you should have a NYCIST vice president, like a bunker somewhere.
Well, Google Hangout. Yeah. So are we doing this as individuals, or are we representing our schools? So any membership dues, is that something I'm San Green thing or something?
Well, so I think the organization as it would stand would collect dues from members. The origin of those dues would be at the discretion of the members. If you go to your head and you say, I want to subscribe to this magazine, your head doesn't turn around and say, like, I'm going to pay that $40. You pay $40. You know, this would be viewed as a professional network that we would try and keep the dues reasonable. And in the case where somebody did have an exception, sure, we'll take your money. We're not going to let kick you out because you can't pay dues, but like, you know, you try and make it so that it is something that any of our organizations that we're working for would see it as reasonable. You know?
I mean, NYCIST, right, officially recognized, right? They're part of NEAT.
Right.
And NYCIST, you know, N and NEAT.
Yep.
Right, so there's a NYCIST.
No.
It's there's an acronym within an acronym.
No.
NEAT is NYCIST is what New York Consortium of Intellectual Technologists.
Yes.
NEAT is NYCIST, Educational Informational
The
Technology.
NEAT is the actual, they're totally separate.
NEAT is the acronym.
Yeah.
Wait, what are we?
Right now, we're like.
That was a lot of words. I mean, I guess it's nice to legitimize something, but at the same time, I'm not sure why. That's all. I mean, I'm not convinced that it makes sense to throw money at, it's because we've been lucky. And schools have been willing to host and pay for stuff and like, thank you, Tim.
Well, I think that's something, though, just to be able to host events and have a budget from them, rather than have them say, you know, we have to draw on the same few schools all the time for events. You know, that's something.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, like, is that,
But I think that fits into governance really easy, where if you're hosting school, you know, you're dues exempt or you get, I mean, like.
Part of it is for organization, right?
Right.
And just to put some structure around something that has no structure right now, and just kind of, oh, we do it this way or not, and Colin is having, you know, roadblocks and getting admin access to some resources that the group needs. And having the governance
yeah,
structure helps to,
it seems like it'll take ownership away from a few individuals, and give it to some entity. I just wonder if a conversation can just happen with those few individuals to free up, passwords and access to information, and then you can just continue to do. I don't know.
why do you?
I'm not, it just sounds like work, and people seem to be willing to do the work, which is awesome. It seems like work and money, and then as soon as there's money.
Well, so outside of work and money, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I don't know what people do, I'm just curious why.
Can I speak to my own experience? So back in September, when we did our first meeting down at Little Bits, I catered that meeting. And I had a really tough time getting my school to pay for a catered event in Manhattan as my school was in Long Island, and my school was like, wait a minute, you spent what for this? Where?
It was really nice catering.
It was an amazing catering, but I mean, it was Little Bits, like Little Bits said, yeah, use this caterer, we use their everything. And I got the bill and I was like, it was a lot of money. And I definitely had to, pardon?
Sorry.
No, no, but
Startup money versus school money, so.
no, but it wasn't, look, it's paid for it. High school paid for it.
I'm saying the caterer, they recommend.
Yeah, exactly. And but for them, it was like, well, I'm paying for a catered event that didn't even happen at my home school. So if I wanted to actually have an event at, say, because there's an offer on the table for like Brain Pop to handle an event, for example, or in Maine, we're going to a 3D printing company in Long Island City. They may not give us food, and as a person running a meetup, I would say, hey, I have to cater this. Who's going to pay for it? Maybe I do like a GoFundMe or like a Kickstarter. I don't know. I mean,
Maybe we can put that topic at that meeting and discuss it with the librarian to find out.
That was part of what I wanted to
Yeah.
do, so.
Great thinking.
Can we copy paste their bio?
Copy
Search for
paste,
place.
S/librarian/technologist.
Typically, if you go to a vendor spot, I would consider bringing top one because it's quite a lot.
Mhm.
But they would provide their own snacks for you.
Little Mix didn't.
Okay, but
That's a little bit suspect.
Well played, almost as good as.
and that could be why they don't, you don't host there or something.
Yeah.
If you're spending whatever money.
Well, you're providing them with a service, I should know.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think
they should be. No, I need to be paid for this. That being said, it's 6:00, so, people who have a list to go, fine. I'm gonna continue this conversation, any conversation you wanna have, at a bar that Tim has recommended, it's called Albion, it's over on Second Avenue between 31st and 32nd, I think it is.
There's
There's no food there, but it is a dive bar, so it's great.
You can order pizza that's delivered there.
Right, or, it says in the sign, it's all always hot ones. Everyone came and sort of, this is a really quick meeting, it's a really fun meeting, I think we got really deep and stuff. That's the same, it's okay, I didn't see you guys.
Are you still talking?
It's fine, I'm just a person.
You just said a bar, you also are.
But thank you, really good meeting, really well attended, and we got a lot of stuff done today. And I'm going to push like hell that we start populating both the data collection, which I did not realize as many people use as I have done, and that's really big. As well as the vendor things, I think they're both very useful things that are unique to like most groups like this.
Yeah.
So,
Well, do we want to start calculating the vendor thing before we get into the?
I'm gonna move it soon. We just bought the domain. It's
you can move the data without having to like,
I'm gonna have to do a little bit of fiddling. It's not a huge deal, but I wanna
We're doing
populate, I wanna populate, get it set, and then send the invites to the admins, and then we can open the doors.
We totally agree.
Like I said, everything's shut off right now.
So Albion,
I have to.
31st, Second Avenue to 31st and 32nd, total dive bar.
Oh, no, that's side of the street.
No cameras, just say what you want to. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
He's ready to sign it.
There's nothing that stops me from going blackball.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, not 10 years ago, I'm getting to listen to all the schools in New York with their,
Yeah, I was
you know, package training companies over time. You take everybody at their word and, you know, if we're saying.
I like listening to your ideas.
What?
I love listening to your ideas.
See you later.
All right, bye, Liz.